Welcome to Captain Harold DeMarrero's River Stories, Volume 18. Today, Captain wants to talk about his career starting back in 1960, where we left off. So go ahead and take it away, Cap.
Well, it's important to say where the industry was at that time. There was a couple of major things that was going on the river, and that I didn't really pay any attention to it, but there were things that affected the history of what was going to happen out there on the river. And the first one was there was a shipyard owner in St. Louis built barges and boats, pretty nice boats, but he was rich, and he put in a petition to the government to.
What was his name?
Herman Pott.
And he owned the St. Louis shipyard where they put stuff in dry dock and built boats.
Right. So he sued the government and saying that federal barge line was owned by the government, and it was unlawful for them to compete with the other commercial barge traffic on the river, and it had to be sold to a private individual.
Who got it?
He did. So that was kind of the beginning of the change on the river. The real major thing was, and of course, everywhere you looked, they was converting their steamboats to diesel boats, because if they got them transferred from steam to diesel, they didn't come under any regulations anymore, and they could operate them with whatever size crew they wanted to. You know, under steam, it was like 32 in the crew. Under diesel, it was 9, 10, 12, however many you wanted to put on there. You know, and unlicensed. They didn't have to be licensed or anything. So these companies loved that. We were getting all around these inspection laws and having to carry licensed qualified people. They could just go pick a farmer up and put him on there and let him drive their boat, you know. And a lot of them did that. But the next major thing that happened was the beginning of the destruction of the unions. Now, even though these boats were being made diesel, the unions had contracts with these major barge companies, and these contracts made them still carry rather large crews. They'd carry pilots and captains and mates and everything. It was a union contract that they had to do this. So then the first major barge company, and one of the big majors, was American Barge Line Company. Now, American Barge Line Company, which is now ACL out of Louisville, they merged with another company called Commercial Barge Line Company. Now, Commercial Barge Line Company, they had a bunch of boats made up. There was like aircraft carriers for carrying automobiles. Had 3 and 4 decks on these things. You know, they looked like ships going up the river. And so those two merged, and they were both, had contracts with the American Mason Pilots Unions and MEBA. So they were high union. And at the same time, this company, which now became American Commercial Barge Line Company, bought a small towing company on the Gulf Intercoastal Waterways that had about 12 or 15 boats, a company called Butch and Arthur. And they usually ran around with 1 or 2 oil barges, with their boats. So they bought this up, and the next thing you know, their boats, which was nice and beautiful and white and everything all along over the years, were now painted red, white, and green. The companies of this Butch and Arthur towing company. So they laid off all of their union crews, just told them to go home. This company doesn't own these boats anymore. They're operating under this Butch and Arthur company, and we don't have any jobs for you. So they let off all these guys and put these Cajun crews on the boats. And I don't want to use Cajun derogatory, because I lived down amongst the Cajuns in South Louisiana and had many, many good friends and you know, they're a great bunch of people. But at the time, the derogatory part was that they would work for practically nothing. They worked for cheap wages, and you know, and so they was bringing down the wages of the guys on the boats by working it. So, and it just took that major company right out of the union. And then a couple of years later, the next one was Ingram Barge Line Company, and Ingram decided they was gonna had this dispute over the contract, and all the boats were tied up in the canal at Lockport, Illinois, up on the industrial sewage canal coming out of Chicago. And they had them all tied up there. And at the time, man, this is before they had sewage treatment plants, and that canal was bank to bank sewage coming out of Chicago. Everything you can imagine somebody flushes down a toilet comes floating down through there. So it's pretty nasty and smelled bad and everything. So these companies hired a bunch of goons, and they went up there with ball bats and everything else, and they went on them boats, took them Union crews, beat them off, whipped them off, threw one of them I know ended up in that nasty canal, you know, that they throwed him over in that, and took the boats over, and they were non-union. And, you know. And
they still exist today, don't they? Ingram Barge Line?
Oh, Ingram Barge Line does, yeah, but it's not union.
No, we just found out why.
Yeah, right. So, but anyway, I wanted to kind of get to there before I started off again on my career. Tell you what was going on the river. So, this is when I got the job on the Jag. That was let's see, September of 1960. I was 24. And I went on the Jag. Here's a picture of the Jag. And I got on board the Jag. It was about midnight. I forget what month it was, but it wasn't cold out or anything like that, you know. But when I was getting on board, the owner and his wife and his daughter and his son were all coming off. They had guest quarters on this boat. This is the boat, I'm going to be captain on a boat with guest quarters on it. That's really an improvement over anything I've ever been on before. So anyway, I got on the boat that night and introduced myself to them, and they left. They was catching a plane going back to Greenville, Mississippi, their home. And I mentioned the Jag before and the fact that it was KGW Towing Company. Kirk, Goodman, and Weathers Towing Company, and then the Jag was Johnny Kirk, Aaron Goodman, and George Weathers made up the GAG.
You got another picture there, Captain. What's that of?
Well, this was when I was captain on the Jag. I looked a little different
the young guy?
I do now, right? Well, you know, I was like 24.
Yeah.
Come a long way. And
almost 50 years.
Yeah. So, anyway, I got on the Jag at the ship.
At least you was good looking at one time in your life.
Well, we're all good looking to someone.
Your mother.
Yeah. No, bless her heart, my mom's gone, but my wife likes me, you know. So, anyway, I got on board the Jag that night, and I knew that, you know, there'd been 2 or 3 good captains that had quit the thing. They'd had wrecks and everything coming down the river, and so I got on it the first night, and I turned it loose from the dock, and I went to go up the river, and it turned all the way around like 3 different times in different directions, until it finally figured out it was what.
Okay, Cap, they're going to come back and figure and listen to the rest of the story later. Thanks for watching. Come back and watch more of Captain Harold DeMarrero's River Stories.